4 things Warren Buffett knows that most people don't. Yet, that word, yet, is doing a lot of work in that sentence. And I put it there intentionally, because what Warren Buffett knows isn't magic. It's not genius-level mathematics that only 3 people on Earth can understand. It's not a secret formula locked inside a vault somewhere in Omaha, Nebraska. It's a way of thinking, and thinking can be learned. What amazes me every time I study Buffett is this. For more than 60 years, Warren Buffett has been the most successful investor in modern history. 60 years. Not one good decade, not one lucky streak. 6 decades of consistent, quiet, almost boring wealth creation, while everyone around him chased trends, panicked, and reinvented their strategy every 5 minutes. And here's the remarkable part. The things he knows, he told us publicly, in letters, interviews, shareholder meetings. He basically handed us the answers to the exam. Most people just never read them. Today, we're going to. Here's what we're covering. 4 principles. Each one sounds simple. Each one becomes life-changing if you actually apply it. And by apply it, I don't mean nod your head and forget it tomorrow. The first is about time and why most people use it completely wrong. The second is about the difference between price and value. That distinction alone has created more wealth than almost any hot stock tip in history. The third is Buffett's idea of a moat. Once you understand it, you'll never look at a business or an investment the same way again. And the fourth is the most uncomfortable, doing nothing. And why doing nothing is sometimes the most powerful financial move you can make. Let's begin. Principle 1, time is an asset. Let me ask you something. If someone offered you an investment that required no special skill, no market knowledge, no insider connections, and that had an extraordinary historical track record over virtually every 30-year period, would you be interested? Of course you would. Everyone would. That investment already exists. It's called time in the market. Here's the number that changed how I think about everything. Warren Buffett is worth roughly $130 billion, maybe more. It depends on the day. But here's the part nobody talks about. Approximately 97% of his wealth was accumulated after his 50th birthday. Read that again. 97% after 50. He didn't become rich because of one perfect investment in his 30s. He started investing at 11 years old. Yes, 11, which honestly makes me feel slightly inadequate, and then made good decisions and waited for decades. And compounding did what compounding always does when given enough time. It snowballed. There's a famous quote often attributed to Einstein. Compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. Whether he actually said it or not doesn't matter much to me, because I've watched it happen in real life. I had a client in his early 30s who started with a relatively modest amount, nothing glamorous. He wasn't trying to get rich quickly, he simply invested consistently every month, left it alone, avoided panic, and resisted the urge to be clever. 20 years later, without a single dramatic move, his portfolio reached a level that genuinely surprised him. He called me and said, "Nihat, I didn't really do anything." I said, "Exactly, that's the point. Most people treat investing like a microwave. Put something in, wait 2 minutes, done." Compounding isn't a microwave, it's a slow cooker. You have to leave the room, trust the process, and resist lifting the lid every 5 minutes. Buffett's question is never, "What can this earn this year?" It's, "What could this be worth 20 years from now?" That shift in time horizon changes every decision you make. Principle 2, price is what you pay. Value is what you get. This single sentence has saved me from more bad decisions than I can count. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. Imagine 2 coffee shops, same neighborhood, same quality coffee. I've checked. Both are excellent. Coffee is important to me. Shop A is worth $1 million. Shop B is also worth $1 million. But Shop A is currently selling for $800,000 because the owner needs to sell quickly. Shop B is selling for $1.5 million because everyone believes it's the hottest place in town. Same value, very different prices. The average investor buys Shop B. It feels right. It's popular. Everyone is talking about it. There are lines out the door. Buffett buys Shop A because the math says so, not emotion, math. This is what people misunderstand about Buffett's famous advice. Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. It sounds like a personality trait. It's not. It's mathematics. When fear pushes prices below value, opportunity appears. Emotion is the signal. Math is the decision. Early in my career, I found a company trading at a price that made little sense relative to its fundamentals. Revenue was solid, the balance sheet was clean, but investors were nervous about the sector, and the stock had fallen sharply. Everyone I knew was avoiding it. I bought it, not because I was brave, because the numbers suggested the price was wrong, and I had done the work necessary to understand that. It recovered. The investment worked. But here's the honest part. I was nervous the entire time. Knowing something intellectually and feeling it emotionally are two completely different experiences. Buffett has spent decades training himself to make intellectual decisions regardless of emotional weather. That takes practice, and it starts by understanding the difference between price and value. They are not the same thing. Principle 3, the moat. This is my favorite concept to explain because I can almost see people thinking differently once it clicks. Buffett talks about economic moats, literally, like the moat around a castle, a competitive advantage so wide and so deep that competitors struggle to cross it. And Buffett has always preferred businesses with wide moats. Here are 3 examples. A brand moat, think Coca-Cola. Tomorrow you could create a cola that tastes exactly the same or maybe even better, but you probably couldn't sell it to millions of loyal Coca-Cola customers. The moat isn't the product, it's the emotional connection, and emotions are difficult to copy. A switching cost moat, think banks, accounting software, corporate systems. Are they perfect? Usually not. Could you find something better? Possibly. But switching is painful. It costs time, money, and energy. Companies that make switching difficult possess a moat built from inconvenience. And inconvenience is surprisingly durable. A cost moat. Some businesses can simply produce and distribute products more cheaply than everyone else. Think Amazon, think Walmart. If you can offer lower prices while remaining profitable, competitors often can't keep up. That's a moat. And Buffett always asks one question: is the moat getting wider or narrower? If it's widening, the business is becoming stronger. If it's shrinking, competitors are catching up. That's a warning sign. Today, I use this framework everywhere, not just for stocks, for businesses, for strategy, even for my own company. What's our moat? What makes us difficult to replace? If I can't answer that clearly, I know there's work to do. Principle 4, the power of doing nothing. This is the most counterintuitive lesson, and possibly the most valuable. Buffett once said his favorite holding period is forever. Forever. Not until a target price, not until something more exciting appears. Forever. In a world of constant alerts, constant opinions, and constant noise, that advice feels revolutionary. Most investors buy something, watch it obsessively, read a scary headline, sell it, buy something else, and repeat the cycle. Then they wonder why a simple index fund outperformed them. The index fund won by doing nothing. Think about how humbling that is. Buffett has owned some investments for decades. Coca-Cola since 1988, American Express since the 1960s. Not because nothing better ever appeared, because every time you sell a winner, you reset the compounding clock, pay taxes, and introduce new uncertainty. The cost of switching is usually higher than people realize. Now, doing nothing doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to react to noise. A disappointing quarter is often noise. A permanent change in a company's competitive position is signal. Buffett reacts to signal. He ignores noise. When I first started investing, I was terrible at this. I checked prices constantly. Every drop felt important. Every rally felt urgent. Every movement demanded action. It took years to realize that most of what I was reacting to had almost nothing to do with long-term results. The ability to remain still when everything around you is screaming for action, that's a skill. Nobody is born with it. It's built slowly through experience and sometimes expensive mistakes. The investors I've watched build real wealth share one common characteristic. They're boring. No drama, no constant reshuffling, no excitement. Boring and wealthy beats exciting and broke every single time. My friends, that's it. 4 principles. Time. Give your investments decades, not months. Price versus value. Always know the difference. Moats. Invest in businesses with durable competitive advantages and watch whether those advantages are expanding or shrinking. And doing nothing. Learn to stay calm when the world wants you to panic. These aren't secrets. Buffett never hid them. He published them, spoke about them, explained them for 60 years. The rare thing isn't access to the information. The rare thing is finding someone who actually changes their behavior because of it. So here's my question for you. Of these 4 principles, time, price versus value, moats, and doing nothing, which one are you worst at right now? Be honest. I've been bad at all 4 at different points in my life. And here's one final thought. If Buffett's greatest wealth building tool was simply time, what does that say about the decisions you've been postponing? Sit with that for a while. Take care of yourself and take even better care of your money. I'll see you in the next video.